What's up, YouTube? This is Genesis 121 giving you guys another update on the 55-gallon mixed Reef Aquarium. So picking up where I left off, as you guys can see right here, this is a shot of the from the last update before we had to evacuate for the hurricane. So I stay in the Savannah, Georgia area, which is along the eastern coast of Georgia. So we were under the mandatory evacuation for Hurricane Irma. So we wind up leaving and evacuating for about, I think it was about 4 days. So we wind up getting in, loaded up the whole family, and wind up driving to northern Georgia, just to kind of get out of the storm area. So with that, I was pretty nervous because at this point in time, this was a new setup, and I didn't really have any redundancies on here, any fail safes. It was just going into this hoping for the best, that that the tank would make it. I was almost sure that we are going to be dealing with power outages, so I was just basically riding it out and seeing what was going to happen after that. So like I said, we wind up leaving. While I was gone, we were staying in a hotel, and I was checking on my internet status, and I noticed that Saturday morning about 5 o'clock that the internet went down, and it was down from like 5 a.m. all the way to 5 p.m. So from that, I basically, in my mind, was thinking like, yeah, pretty much lost everything in the tank, because 12 hours with no power, no pumps, no circulation, heat, anything like that, that I would definitely be taking a loss. Fortunately for us, though, the hurricane wind up going west at the last minute, so we basically got just a lot of the tropical storms and really bypassed some of the main hurricane weather. So we did have some flooding in the areas. As far as our house personally, just a little bit, like, a bunch of debris knocked over all over the place, trees and branches and stuff. So nothing major. A piece of siding came off the house, and then but the power being knocked out for like 12 hours was the main thing. So that's basically what we saw once we returned home. For me, as soon as I pulled up in the driveway, ran inside the house, went into the living room, and looked at the fish tank, and had that moment. But hey, it was all good. I looked, I saw fish swimming, I saw corals still there, and everything was alive, fortunately. And I credit that to the fact that just being a low bio load in the tank. It's a new tank. I only had a handful of fish in there, and they were relatively small in comparison to the tank. Not that many corals in the tank. So that, and just the prayers that I was going through, hoping, making sure that the tank would survive this power outage for over 12 hours. But what it did for me was it made me decide to become proactive about the whole situation. So my plans going forward was definitely investing in a battery backup system, just in case another power outage, for future references. And also, so a couple things I wanted to get was a IP camera to check on the tank if I'm not home, and also investing in a controller. And it looks like I was planning on going with the Apex Junior for this setup. So one of the changes I made was that I removed my goby, and this was not an easy task. The reasons for it was that he was just making a mess in the sand bed in the tank. The tank was constantly cloudy. He would always be making burrows, dropping sand on corals, and also he was pretty much a bully to some of the other fish. Actually killed one of my chromis. So all those things together, that guy had to go. So, me and my son, we wind up draining the tank all the way down. I wind up barricading some areas off, and my oldest son, myself, and my wife even assisted, and we all got that guy out of there. Unfortunately, I did have to tear down the rocks and tear down my aquascape, which sucked because no one ever wants to do that, especially when you find that aquascape that looks good. So my efforts went to try to reduplicate that aquascape, and I did a pretty good job on that. And yeah, gonna give you guys the next portion of this update and show you what the tank's looking like now. So here it is in all its beauty. The tank is really coming together nicely. Everything's looking good. I mean, the water quality has just got crystal clear since removing the goby and the corals, and everybody seems to be doing a whole lot better. As you can see here, look at my Ganipora. I mean, this guy is fully opened up. All the corals additions I made here, this purple torch, had candy canes there. We got the Kenya tree that I added into there, and then we have my whole Euphilia garden going on here. So right now got different variations of Euphilia, hammers, and frog spawn. Might add a couple more, but for the most part that's pretty set. And then the horn coral is doing good. Put that GSP back there on the back wall. And then as you can see, my Zoa Pally garden is looking really nice, coming together. Might only add a few more things to that. Also added a cleaner shrimp. Bird nest that I have really isn't doing too good, but like I said, it was one of those testers. And then my couple mushrooms that I have there as well. And another addition was this fox coral. Never seen this before, but wind up getting that, and it looks really cool. And my Manipora up there. And then also always wanted one of these scroll corals, and these things are pretty awesome. So that, and then got some Duncans there. But did make some additions to this tank, and everything's looking really nice. The fish are happy, corals are happy. Seems like everything's just on autopilot, doing very well. Parameters are doing good. Just corals are looking nice. Really happy for the time of this tank for how it's looking. So part of that success I also attribute to the fact that I added a hang on the back protein skimmer as well. This is the CPR backpack, and it's been doing good for the tank. Getting a good amount of skimmate, and that's also part of the reason why the water's been cleaning up, so it's hang on the back. So as you can see, the pump is hanging in there, and then I have the output on there, and that thing, only drawback from that, I'd say it puts out a whole bunch of micro bubbles. So I made a modification and put a sponge under there to get the micro bubbles to go away. But overall, a pretty good skimmer. Another thing that I've done is I added this DIY gravity fed auto top off. So as you can see there, I've got certain drip rate going on there, and I've been adjusting that depending on how fast the evaporation is. But usually 1 gallon will last me about 24 hours, and I've been slowly putting in some kalkwasser in there. I've had success with it in the past and plan on continuing to use it for future purposes. So that's going to do it for this update. A lot of changes, a lot of things happened, but praise God, everything turned out for the good. And I'm going to keep pushing forward with this tank in the hobby. Definitely make some changes to the system, some upgrades, and some fail safes to make sure that this tank will thrive and have success even in the event of catastrophic events that may come our way. So hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and thank you guys for watching.